In the PGA Tour versus Martin case, a golfer by the name of Casey Martin challenged the PGA Tour's requirement that golfers must walk the course during tournaments. Martin, who has a degenerative circulatory disorder that impairs his ability to walk, argued that the Americans with Disabilities Act, also known as the ADA, entitled him to use a golf cart during competition. The PGA Tour contended that walking was a significant part of the competition, and allowing Martin to use a golf cart would fundamentally alter the nature of their tournaments. The case eventually reached the Supreme Court, which held that the ADA did apply to the PGA Tour and that Martin should be provided a reasonable accommodation, which in this case was the use of a golf cart, as it did not fundamentally alter the nature of the game. The constitutional question at the heart of the legal battle was whether the Americans with Disabilities Act applied to professional golf tournaments organized by the PGA Tour. Specifically, the Supreme Court was tasked with deciding whether the ADA's requirement for responsible accommodations for individuals with disabilities extended to professional athletes in the context of a major sports competition. The court had to consider if allowing Casey Martin, a golfer with a disability, to use a golf cart during tournaments would fundamentally alter the nature of the competitions. The ruling would set a precedent for how the ADA would be interpreted in professional sports and other public accommodations. The majority opinion of this case was delivered by Justice Stevens and held that the ADA did apply to the PGA Tour. The court found that the PGA Tour's events were indeed places of public accommodations and therefore were subject to the ADA's requirements. The majority determined that allowing Casey Martin to use a golf cart did not fundamentally alter the nature of the tournaments. The court reasoned that the ADA was designed to create a level playing field and that providing a cart was a reasonable modification that enabled Martin to compete while still maintaining the essential integrity of the game. On the other hand, the dissenting opinion was authored by Justice Scalia, and it argued that the PGA Tour had the right to set its own rules for the competition. The dissent expressed concern that the court's majority opinion overstepped by judicially altering the nature of the sport. Justice Scalia contended that the walking rule was a substantive rule of the competition, not a mere logistical detail, and that allowing Martin the use of a cart gave him an advantage over the other players, thus fundamentally altering the nature of the game. The dissent warned of the implications for other sports and the potential for courts to become entangled in the rule-making process of professional athletic organizations. Which side would you choose?